Hello again, Timberwolves fans. Are you ready for the explosion of Timberwolves basketball? I am your host, Paladino Joey, or Joey at Wise, and Timberwolves Explosion is available on the sportstuff.com, iTunes, Google Podcasts. That's right, Google Podcasts, which is now a thing, which is great. Double Twist and Stitcher, or Stitcher and Double Twist, whichever way you want to say it. It doesn't matter, as long as you check them out and listen to the show. Google Podcasts basically mirrors iTunes for Android devices, and it's the actual iTunes for Google, you could say. So, bada bing, bada boom, Android phones ready to rock and roll. Of course, you had that for Double Twist, or with Double Twist and all that. You could still use that if you like that more, but Google Podcast is like the mainstream podcasting application for Android devices of all kinds. So, welcome on board to those of you that might be using that for the first time. Well, here we are. It's a rainy day. It's a rainy Thursday, and I'm not cutting grass because it's a rainy day, which gives me an opportunity to get behind the mic. Amazing timing that it turned out this way. As pissed off as I am that I'm not getting work done, I'm thrilled to be behind the microphone, finally doing Timberwolves Explosion again for the first time since mid to late July, if I remember correctly, a little before my birthday there. But the news is not good. And me and Vince Germano on the last episode had a long conversation about a certain player that the Minnesota Timberwolves gave up a lot to get from the Chicago Bulls. The player constantly was bad-mouthing the team here in the offseason. Fed up with the young guys, Karl Anthony Towns, Andrew Wiggins. Oh, they're too focused on this and that, Xbox, this and that. Karl Anthony Towns doesn't focus as much on defense as he should. Blah, blah, blah. I'm Michael Jordan, and you guys are little ants or something. That's basically his attitude coming in. And he did the ultimate D-bag move here as we approach late September already, the 20th of September at this moment. And he literally requests a trade at the last second, less than a week before training camp. That guy, of course, is Jimmy Butler, who has indeed requested a trade from the Timberwolves in his meeting with Tom Thibodeau.
Oh my God!
Does this spell the ultimate demise of Tom Thibodeau and his regime? I don't know how it doesn't. How could it not? I mean, I thought Tom Thibodeau was gone anyway. Basically, right when all this started, it's like, oh yeah, he's done, because clearly he's brought in a guy that is trying to destroy the team from within. You've traded away Zach LaVine. You've traded away Chris Dunn, who didn't look so hot in his first year. And I know all the Rubio people out there are crying to the moon about that one. And Rubio's turned out to be a decent player, but he didn't play one game in the playoffs, did he? So, I mean, I don't know. He's another guy that gets hurt all the time. Chris Dunn gets hurt more often than he should. Jimmy Butler gets hurt more often than he should. So at the end of the day, you know what, Jimmy? Bye-bye, butthead. And that's basically what I put on the Timberwolves Explosion Facebook page. That'll be in the second segment. We'll talk extensively about that and the other signings. I'm going to leave that alone. This is all about the Butler mayhem, the Butler bullcrap, the Butler bullshit. Okay, pardon my French. It's just, and I shouldn't say that. I try to keep this a family show, but occasionally stuff gets out. And you know what? Frustration's going to get out when this type of stuff happens. Zach LaVine gone. You can't bring Zach LaVine back, I'm afraid. It's done and dusted. He signed a long-term deal with the Chicago Bulls. Do you think he'd want to come back now? No, not after that. Unless, of course, it's a new coaching regime, new president of basketball operations, new general manager, which is going to happen. And if it doesn't happen in the next year or so, if it doesn't happen by the end of the season, come on, of course it's going to happen. It has to happen, right? Nobody's happy with Tom Thibodeau. And then you bring in this Tasmanian devil, this tornado, this God knows what, who comes in and literally blows the thing up into a million pieces. A guy with an ego the size of Alaska. When you know what? He can play. But at the end of the game, he's shriveled up like every other little shrinking violet the Timberwolves have ever had in the big moments. Outside of Sam Cassell, and occasionally Stephon Marbury was pretty clutch, nobody's been clutch for this team. Okay, Karl Anthony Towns had a nice little play against the Portland Trail Blazers. Andrew Wiggins had the nice layup and good move against the Phoenix Suns, and he's hit a game winner here and there. Those guys, there's still hope for that. But Jimmy Butler, in his prime, chest all puffed out like Vince Germano so accurately, that's the best word to say, said. And he's out there forcing up shots against double teams against his former club as if, okay, I'm going to hit it anyway. Yeah, that's just like raising the white flag, pardon me. If you're double teamed, somebody's got to be open. And probably going to have a higher percentage shot than you schmuck. And Karl Anthony Towns, Yep, I finally got to see the clip. Marcus the Forecaster sent it to me. Now, there's others out there, but this one you couldn't hear the audio, but you could read lips. A baby could read Tom Thibodeau's lips. Karl Anthony Towns, late in the game against the Los Angeles Clippers in Los Angeles. It was not here. People thought it was here. It was not here. It was in Los Angeles. Timberwolves leading by, I think it was about 6 at the time, with about 28 seconds remaining. Karl Anthony Towns receives the inbound pass after the Clippers scored an easy one. Thibodeau looking like, after that. So Clippers getting within 5 or 6 or something like that, if I remember correctly. It doesn't really matter. The Wolves are up by a decent amount, and I do believe Minnesota ended up winning that game. But Karl Anthony Towns does a Brett Favre, throws across the body, and it's picked off, and an easy basket was scored. I can't remember if it was Austin Rivers or Blake Griffin or something. At the time, Blake Griffin was still on the Clippers, so that gives you an idea. That was before the trade deadline back in January, I believe. Tom Thibodeau slams his fist on the scorer's table, says, "What the F are you doing, JC? Stupid mother effer." And he said it so openly. Anybody could have probably heard it if they were down there. And that's Karl Anthony Towns, so that's one of the reasons why he's probably not signed his max extension worth $187 million. The other reason, obviously, is this son of a bitch, Jimmy Butler, who literally has... I mean, again, he's like the Tasmanian devil. He'll come in and trash the whole place and say, "Oh, sorry, I want to be traded now. Now that I've trashed the place, I want to be traded. I've alienated everybody. Get me out of here. You guys are losers." And I don't really like you either, Tom Thibodeau. Not that much. I'm not joined at the hip with you. You're just some guy who likes to yell a lot, but I like your toughness. I like it more than Fred Hoiberg, but I don't care. I don't care. It's about me. I'm going to wherever, bigger market. And interestingly, he didn't even pick the Lakers. That's kind of funny. We'll talk about that in a moment. But Karl Anthony Towns has not inked anything. When AP Krasinski, actually it's not AP, Athletic, Johnny Athletic now they call him, John Krasinski, formerly of AP on Yahoo there, the Associated Press and Yahoo Sports and all that. Now, of course, a member of The Athletic, which is a very, very nice publication that I do subscribe to. He broke the story that Jimmy Butler has requested a trade. Nick Wiggins, that is the brother of Andrew Wiggins, immediately retweeted it with a quote saying, "Hallelujah." So what does that tell you? That tells you this.
Just get the hell out. Go back where the hell you came from.
That's what it tells you. That's basically what the young guys are saying to Jimmy Butler at the moment. So, yeah, adios, amigo. So that's good, I suppose. So this is a chance to finally get that Tasmanian devil out of the organization. Now you got to get the other destructive force removed because he's done enough damage already. Boy, you will love what Marcus the Forecaster has to say. There is a very, very nice voicemail from Marcus the Forecaster. Pardon me. He sent it to my regular phone, not even in like audio submission mode. A regular voicemail because I was working. I didn't even realize he'd called, and he just left a gem, a little under 3 minutes, a gem. I mean, it was like he was back on the air next to me again. And I hope he will be again someday. I mean, that guy is gold. I always love it. But, yep, we'll hear from him. But the reason why I'm happy today, well, there's multiple reasons. We don't have to sign Jimmy Butler to $187 million. I mean, is that not enough to get you to say hallelujah? Huh? Right, Nick Wiggins? I agree with Nick Wiggins. Hallelujah. We don't have to sign Jimmy Butler to $187 million. Jeff Johnson, if you're listening, not the guy who's running for governor, but here's my little stamp of endorsement for you, by the way. But Jeff Johnson from Edina, locally, well, obviously the governor would be locally too, the future governor, I hope. Not that I'm trying to get into politics, I'm sorry, just whatever. Seems like a good guy. But yeah, the Jeff Johnson on Flip's Army, which I also endorse, a nice Facebook page out there. You'll hear about that going into the second segment as well. Had a very nice... long, you could say it's an essay, you could say it's a nice post basically posted on the page about that too, where yes, it's we can be mad, and of course we hate Butler for this, but we don't have to commit to him now, and we don't have to worry about this anymore. Like the chaos is gonna, well, at least his chaos will be gone, and Tom Thibodeau most likely will follow. I mean, there's no chance Glenn Taylor's going to keep Tom Thibodeau around. You got to get some younger blood in here. You have to get a president of basketball operations and then also a coach. You cannot combine the two, especially not this guy. I mean, I knew it. Listen back to the episodes leading into Tom Thibodeau becoming the head coach and president of basketball. Not when he got hired, but before he got hired. My skepticism back in 2016, it's there. Look back in the archives, download it and listen and hear what I had to say. You know, I didn't know as much back then. Believe me, I did not. But at the same time, I was skeptical. And I figured, I don't know, is this the right move? Could this be a problem? Could this be a mistake? Could it be a big mistake? It was a big mistake. And today, any of us that doubted Tom Thibodeau, any of us that thought Jimmy Butler had the wrong attitude coming in, Vince Germano and I, Marcus the Forecaster, you know what? We were right, and the others out there were wrong. And I'm not here to dance and to show off or anything, but we were right. You know, I mean, we were right. We knew. And I've admitted when I'm wrong before, too. I like Johnny Flynn coming into the draft. Have I mentioned that before? I used to like Randy Foye. So, again, I'm not perfect either. Not even close. But we were right about this one. Oh, and the Van Flip Saunders, again, as we hearken into the... We're approaching the 3-year anniversary, about a month away of his passing. Oh, Flip. Like 3 years ago at this time, he was already into that coma. It was in early September. Oh, Flip. If only that never happened. You know, what a horrible, dark day that truly was for this franchise. You know, horrible day for this franchise. Yeah, it's fitting. It's fitting that it's a dark, rainy day, sad and all that. And I still see that image in the sky when I first got the news. Beautiful. It was like a nice, calm Sunday morning leading into the afternoon. Minnesota Vikings were playing the Detroit Lions. They were just starting to get things going. They were starting to play well. Stephon Diggs was just jumping onto the scene. It was his breakout game. And then, boom. Flip Saunders, dies at 60. I couldn't believe it, I knew he was in trouble just because why would things get so silent like that? Obviously, something's really wrong here. But what a dark day that truly was for this franchise. And here we are, 3 years later, looking at a franchise that's missing Zach LaVine. Rubio, I don't miss him that much, but at the same time, is Jeff Teague an upgrade? In some ways, yes. Yes, he's a better shooter. He's more of a pure shooter. He's more consistent. He's sure as heck more durable, too. I mean, the fact that he didn't get an ACL, the way his knee bent, it was unbelievable. And that guy is an 82-game point guard, where Rubio never will be. Jimmy Butler will never be an 82-game guy. So, with all of that said, here we are again. The sun will shine again. We still have Karl Anthony Towns. I do believe he will sign the extension now, especially now that this is coming to a head. Thank you, Lord. This is coming to a head, and we're not going to just sit and ignore it like Tom Thibodeau did all summer, which to me is R.I.P. Tom Thibodeau, president of basketball and head coach of the Timberwolves. That's R.I.P. Rest in peace. It's over. Why even if it wasn't this close? If it wasn't this close to the training camp, he would have probably been terminated, let go, fired. June, July, whatever it was. I think the Timberwolves need to do it anyway. I think so. Marcus the Forecaster gives a possible idea. Well, other people have too. Could it be Ryan Saunders? I don't think so, but maybe some. Well, it wasn't Marcus. It was somebody else. But young blood. It needs to be somebody younger, upper 30s, low 40s. This job is appealing in terms of look who you could be coaching. Tom Thibodeau, Karl Anthony Towns, and Andrew Wiggins, and hopefully this Josh Okogie and Mr. Keita Bates-Diop will emerge as at least decent players. Maybe Okogie will be even better. So we'll see what happens with that. Where do you go from here? You tell Jimmy Butler to go bleep himself. Obviously, if he suits up for this team this season, I mean, what are you doing? That's a time bomb. Do not suit him up for this season. It's over. So we just sit and wait here, and hopefully a trade can be made. But look at the teams that he has he has suggested. I don't understand this guy. Does he really want to win, or is he just a dimwit? I don't understand. Let's see. The New York Knicks. Okay. The Los Angeles Clippers. Okay. The Brooklyn Nets.
It's just, like, what were they thinking?
The Brooklyn Nets, Jimmy? You call yourself a winner, and you want to go to the Brooklyn Nets? Really? And the other good news is, well, yeah, just look at their rosters, and you got to match salaries, by the way, if you're going to make a trade, don't you? You got to at least come pretty damn close. Jimmy Butler makes $20,445,779. So you got to match something near that. Well, there's a guy that makes slightly more, Danilo Gallinari. He's okay, but he gets hurt all the time. Lou Williams is an appealing player, $8 million a year. That's actually a pretty good deal. Wes Johnson, don't even think about it. Patrick Beverley, I don't know, unless you're going to get rid of Jeff Teague, but who are you going to bring back then? That's $19 million added. That'd be a big-ass trade. You know? Let's have a little fun, because I got the trade machine up. Jimmy Butler to the Clippers. Let's throw in Jeff Teague. Let's add Martin Gortat, about 13.5. Yeah, Patrick Beverley. I'm just imagining, why would we want Patrick Beverley, though? I don't know. I'm an idiot. 26 and 30. Oh, yeah. No, it's not even close. You got to add in Danilo Gallinari, and that puts things way over again. So that ain't going to happen. Go away, Beverly. Go away. So, that doesn't work. Okay, now we'll add Beverly. And that's about it. Okay, Danilo Gallinari, Martin Gortat, Patrick Beverly for Jimmy Butler and Jeff Teague. Now, I don't know. Patrick Beverly gets hurt a lot. He's kind of a pain in the ass. Okay, we're not doing that. I don't think so. I'm not trading Jeff Teague right now, unless it would have to be a completely different team. But I love Gortat. I really do. Gortat. So Jimmy Butler, $20 million. Gortat, 13.5. Lou Williams, that might be the one. Gortat and Lou Williams. So let's try it out, and it was successful. So okay, Gortat and Lou Williams. That's what I might be looking at right there. That doesn't change your franchise at all. But then again, Gortat's a nice center. Karl Anthony Towns could move to power forward. Maybe add other pieces like Gergie Zhang, and then you also get Lou Williams or something. Well, you already get Lou Williams, or add a Beverly or something. But it's an interesting thought. Those are the kind of things I'd be looking at with the Clippers. So then you try to dig deep into the New York Knicks. So the New York Knicks were another one. They have some players. I like Tim Hardaway Jr., but not for $17 million. Joakim Noah, there it is. Yeah, Porzingis is not going to get traded. He's not even signed his new big deal yet. A lot of people like the young point guard that I can't pronounce his name from Fonse. He's a possibility. Some people like Kevin Knox. Obviously, he's a possibility as well. The rookie there, Trey Burke. No. I know some of you like him, but nah. Courtney Lee I've always liked, but not for 12.2. No, man. You got to make a 3-team deal, right, if he's going to the Knicks. None of these guys. Seriously. Except for like a Kevin Knox and that young point guard. I can't even say it. Moutier does nothing for me. He's just not done much. Porzingis is not going to get traded. That's just not going to happen. Otherwise, if you don't get one of those young, excellent prospects like Kevin Knox or something like that, which I think has to be required, you're just going to get a big fat contract with a guy that's 30 years old and not that good. So, and I don't care about Enes Kanter enough to make that deal. Is he that good, Enes Kanter? He's had moments. Okay, he averages a double-double a game. 14 points, 11 rebounds. So maybe. Now, you could probably just about do that straight up because it's 18.6. You probably have to add a piece or two here and there. Something like that. Butler, if you want Enes Kanter, one other Nick would probably have to come back. I would love to get like Knox, but I don't know. I don't know if they're going to trade away Kanter, though, because they'd have no other real center. So they probably wouldn't do that either. Though they did get Robinson, so we'll see. Leave that alone for the moment. How about them? Brooklyn Nets. Do we have to talk about them? I don't want to talk about the Nets. They suck. They suck. Alan Crabb, baby. 18.5. Damari Carroll, 15.4. Kenneth Reed's okay. I mean, I used to love that guy. Now he's meh. Jared Dudley, 9.5. So he'd be like half of the trade. D'Angelo Russell. I don't think they're going to be in a huge hurry to trade D'Angelo Russell. I like Allen there with the 70s hairdo. Love that guy. He's just okay, though. Hollis Jefferson, I don't know, man. Dinwiddie, baby. Let's get Dinwiddie. Yeah, there you go. Spark plug off the bench. No. Shabazz Napier is not attainable for some reason. Daryl Arthur's never really achieved anything in the league, unfortunately. I don't know. What are you going to get from the Nets? Alan Crabb? I mean, Alan Crabb, 13 points a game shooting guard for $18.5 million. That's like throwing up the white flag, wouldn't you say? Alan Crabb is okay, but he's just okay. I mean, I don't know. He shot about 38% from downtown. His career average is about 40. Okay, so at least he can shoot. And I do remember that. He used to drive me crazy with that sometimes. But, of course, everybody on the Nets drives me crazy when they scorch us, like old Dinwiddie over there. I like Dinwiddie. Not just because his name is kind of funny. He did a good job. And he's still, he's 25. Okay. His career three-point percentage, not good. His career field goal percentage, not good. So, yeah, that's okay. That's okay. But then again, is Tyus Jones the greatest shooter ever? No, but sometimes he shows promise. I don't know. I'm not that excited about the Nets. I don't think I want to trade with the Brooklyn Nets because you're not going to get anything. Seriously. You're going to get Alan Crabb, I guess, and maybe a draft pick. Alan Crabb and a draft pick. That's the trade of the century. And I know you can't expect to get a great trade, but I don't know. I'd rather have Gortat, who can help he can plug the middle, and then Karl Anthony Towns can be free to be a power forward and actually be a better player. Yeah, he could be like a stretch four who can do everything, block more shots, get more rebounds. I mean, his numbers went ape-bleep when Mr. Nikola Pekovic was in the middle when he was healthy for a couple of games. Karl Anthony Towns, you saw something out of that guy that made me smile. If it's me, trade him to the Clippers, even though, oh goody, he just made the West even stronger. The West opponents anyway, but it is what it is. I mean, we're already in the West. Obviously, he's on our team, but I mean, you just made another Western Conference team stronger. What are you going to do, though? I mean, you got to do what's best for the team. I think getting Gortat would be very helpful for the Timberwolves. Honestly, I think that's the best move you can do at this time. Of course, and you get Lou Williams, which would be pretty cool. I like Lou Williams. He's not the youngest guy in the world, but he can sure shoot the ball. Unless you like Danilo Gallinari. Lou Williams had an awesome season last year. I think he'd be a wonderful addition. And why would you keep Lou Williams if you're getting Jimmy Butler anyway? So that would be awesome. If you got Lou Williams and Gortat, that'd be freaking awesome, if humanly possible. Lou Williams is about a 36%, 35% three-point shooter, so he's not the spectacular shooter, but he can be. He can get hot. He's kind of streaky. Gortat's a veteran, but again, a big guy, a big, strong center. Not the strongest guy of all time, but he does a good job. He's solid. I'd do it. I would make that move. About 8 points, 8 rebounds, about a block a game, this and that. Good player. I've always liked Gortat. He is 34, unfortunately, but again, whatever. If he can play, if he's healthy enough to play, it'll free up Karl Anthony Towns. So I would not be against that move. I have to look to deal Gorgie Zheng some other way as well. 15. Boy, that's a big contract. You throw him in and add another player. No, you're not going to get Tobias Harris. Maybe you could, but yeah, you'd have to cancel out the other two. Maybe just Tobias Harris and then another piece to help, like Wesley freaking Johnson, to help fill out the salary cap and all that. So I guess that's where we are right now in the Jimmy Butler sweepstakes. Some of you out there probably have better ideas than this. I would like to trade him to like somebody like Boston or something, because I think you could get better pieces. The Lakers, you could get Ingram or something. You got to be able to get something. I mean, if it's the Lakers, they got to give up somebody like an Ingram or such. The Lakers, obviously not Hayward, not Horford's $29 million. Wow. Kyrie Irving would be spectacular, but why would they do that necessarily? Even though that Dozier is awesome. Dozier's awesome, but are you ready to give him the ball to win the Eastern Conference? Is he going to be your guy and then not have a whole lot behind him? Though I suppose they have some. Terry Rozier, yeah, he was pretty wonderful for the Clippers, no, excuse me, the Celtics last year. Not Dozier, Rozier, Terry Rozier. He was awesome for the Celtics last year. So we'll just have to wait and see. Those are ideas I would be looking at to possibly get Kyrie Irving, I suppose. You could, that would be a major trade. You probably want to, you definitely need to throw in Teague probably if you're going to do that, though. Man, that'd be a huge trade. I don't think it would happen. And obviously, Teague for Kyrie Irving wouldn't ever happen. They're not going to do that. So, I don't know. I think I'm dreaming here. So, you probably are looking at like Lou Williams and Gortat, something like that for Jimmy Butler at this stage. So that's kind of where we're standing at the moment when you sit down and analyze and you're able to get the trade across. I would definitely not mind getting a first round pick. Of course, you always want to get those. Do they ever amount to anything sometimes? And I don't mean a first round pick. I mean how it's always protected. It's always like 23rd or 21st, and it's like 5 or 6 years from now. So sometimes it amounts to something, and a lot of times it doesn't. But I don't know. That should be part of the trade. If you're giving up Jimmy Butler, who's not 30 yet, so just turned 29. As long as he doesn't tear up their locker room, but what do we care, right? So with that, Tom Thibodeau will not be the head coach of the Timberwolves by the end of the season, if not the start of the season. And Jimmy Butler obviously will never play another game for this team. And if he does, what the bleep are we doing? What are we doing? It would be just like bringing Kevin Love back, which it's okay to say you're comfortable with it and then still make a pretty awesome trade, which Flip Saunders, the late great Flip Saunders, once did back in 2014. That was pretty damn cool. It took a while, but we had to wait because we had to wait for him to be eligible after he was drafted like that. So it was all just different type of scenarios. You had to wait things out. So that's just kind of how it goes. So with that, I'm going to take a quick break. We'll come back, hear from you guys. And first we'll hear from Marcus the Forecaster.
Yeah, man. Sorry I'm just not giving you a call. There's a lot of stuff going on with me. I meant to pick you up last weekend and give you an explanation. Excuse me, but I was going to tell you about what I just saw. Starting now. What I just saw about Jimmy Butler asking for a trade. At first, I saw it coming. I'm sure you saw it coming too. That this is like the official flush of our hopes of being a contender within the next 5 years, because now either Towns could ask for a trade, or we can only hope to get Zion in the draft, or someone in the draft who can come here and save us from this incompetence. But what right now I'm most pissed off at, I don't know if a lot of people thought about it, is Flip's son. I just can't imagine being Flip's son, even last season. I'm sure he's smart enough to see this shit, and he has to tolerate seeing this little stumpy child yell, curse, make bad decision after bad decision, and have to take it. Because he has to take care of his family. He's getting paid. So you can't go to work even though you know your boss is incompetent and start yelling at him. I mean, you don't want to lose your job. But this is Flip's legacy. He got us to a position where he brought fans back in by having us watch the team for free. And this guy comes in and completely pisses on everything his father did. And he has to sit there front row watching this. And that fucking sucks. I feel bad for him. That fucking sucks. And now he's going to be fired. Probably have to watch someone else get hired. It's just ridiculous. But yeah, that's what I feel about that. Everything else is pretty self-explanatory as far as any Wolves fan, how they feel about this guy coming in, getting rid of our future. We went from being one of the best teams, talked about as the best up-and-coming teams to this total debacle. But yeah, it sucks.
And we are back here on Timberwolves Explosion, segment number 2 in this case, fan interaction. Wasn't that fantastic by Marcus the Forecaster? Let's hope and pray he keeps those coming. And yeah, I'm gonna beg him to do so, because that was awesome. I miss hearing him on the air, and if we can at least get snippets like that, it makes the show that much better. It really does, and that's a huge invite to all of you out there as well. Tanae Brown, Vince Germano, Hank McCoy, Jeff Johnson locally. Why not? He even liked a tweet on Twitter, kind of, so I guess he follows Timberwolves Explosion on Twitter too, so thank you for that very much, Jeff Johnson. Awesome thoughts by Marcus the Forecaster. Yep, giving us perspective how Ryan Saunders must feel. It must be really tough, like literally sitting there watching Flip Saunders' vision getting torn to pieces, and it's not completely gone, but it's beat to hell, without a doubt. It's beat to hell, and it's extremely frustrating. Nice to see Tyus Jones is still here, as that was one of the last memories of Flip Saunders, as he went to go pick up Tyus Jones, as if he was picking up one of his one of the youngsters, getting ready for a basketball game, maybe like a high school coach coming to pick up this star player for his team or new player for the team. Let's go. Here's your jersey. Wasn't that the coolest thing? Is that's one of the last remaining memories of Flip Saunders as president of basketball operations and all that. It was a wonderful memory, and very sad as well to think that was it. Yeah. So, at Wolves Explosion is the Twitter account. At Wolves Explosion is the Twitter account. For some stinking reason, there's too much junk, and it won't even let me go back far enough, because it's, too much junk notifications that aren't related to Timberwolves Explosion. So I can't even see who retweeted the recent show. Well, kind of recent show. It's been a while now, but I believe Vince Germano is one of them, Tanae usually. So those of you that retweet, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Vince Germano out of Australia, Tanae Brown out of New Zealand, and others that may have as well. I apologize, I didn't see it, so my bad there. Vince Germano at Vinrock44 says, I kept telling you, because that was at the time when Matt Ellentuck was also kind of passing the story on and showing Nick Wiggins' tweet, hallelujah. He was saying, it's September, Jimmy Butler just requested a trade, and now Andrew Wiggins' brother is throwing up hallelujah tweets in response. Vince Germano says, I kept telling y'all, yep, as he knew that he knew this was going to happen at some point, and I agree, we both knew without a doubt. Ricky Rubio's famous tweet also was like he's covering his face, like, wow, give me a break, like, wow, like that kind of figures, and a lot of people liking that one, Tanae, Vince, and many others out there. Thank you very much. Jeff Johnson also liking one of the tweets along the way. Didn't hear from Pumpa this time around, but yeah, I mean, it's been a kind of a quiet offseason, unfortunately. So that kind of is what that is. Twitter account fairly quiet as of right now, and that's okay, because it'll pick up in time. I need to tweet more often anyway. Timberwolves Explosion Facebook page, but before that, I'm going to give a shout out to Flip's Army. The Flip's Army Facebook page, in-game threads and all kinds of news, all that kind of stuff, all Timberwolves talk. Ignore anything that involves the Golden State Warriors, because it's not Warriors related, so if anybody posts that, just ignore it. It doesn't count. Yeah, frick the Warriors. Let's just keep going. If humanly possible, got to scroll down a bit. All kinds of news, including the frickin' patent again. God, my goodness, I don't even want to talk about it. I'm so sick of it now. Oh yeah, Tom Gugliotta. Yep, I knew there was gonna be a significant amount of stuff to talk about, and of course there is. Where is the last show? You just got to keep going down. Facebook.com/Timberwolves Explosion, and of course at Wolves Explosion for Twitter, if humanly possible. This is just going to go on and on. Finally found it. No comments on the last posting of the show, which is episode 233, but thank you there. Wojnarowski was saying, Bjelica went to he was leaving he signed with the Sixers, left the Sixers, so that's how far back we're going. Holy cow. But not too much on this one, which is good, I suppose. Ali Sidikai says, makes the decision to sign Tolliver look even better. Ali was saying, I like Belly, but Tolliver has been an upgrade, especially on the defensive side. But yeah, he can also shoot the threes really well. Ali Sidikai says, Johnny K says it would have been different if he resigned. So, interesting. Tanae Brown says, can't blame him for wanting to raise his family in his homeland. Dick moved, but family first. The funny part is he moved on as well to, I believe it was Sacramento. So, I don't know. It's just looking for a better deal at the end of the day. Pioneer Press, this was interesting too. In January, it was saying, Taj Gibson, man, it's been this long. I remember posting this, and it seems like forever. Taj Gibson said, now again, Pioneer Press, way back in January. Forecaster and I talked about it. I remember at the time, early August, we were having a convo. He came over, we had a convo about things, and he was saying he found this, and then I looked it up, and bam, there it was. Taj Gibson says, most of the guys have been here for a while. Everybody knows to block him out, him being Tom Thibodeau, an expert on playing for Thibodeau. He's going to let you play. The only time when you really listen is when he's giving defensive coverages. But other than that, you've got to block him out. So if that's how bad, if it's that bad with Tom Thibodeau, that players just block him out, well, doesn't that mean the team is tuning the guy out? When people are tuning out a coach, that means he's not very good, right? Or his message isn't getting through. Or they're tired of his message. What does that tell you, Glenn Taylor? Oh, boy. Why did you need a search firm to bring this guy in? You knew who he was regardless, if it's a search firm or not. You knew he had pedigree as a defensive coach. He had... but he had problems with personnel. And, well... we're not seeing the defense, and he's having problems with personnel. So, I don't know, man. I don't know. So, let's just keep going where we were here. Yep. Marcus the Forecaster brought this up. Yep. Vince Germano said, part of me was hoping it was said tongue-in-cheek, and probably not. But, I don't know. I don't know. It sounds serious to me. The Timberwolves added sharpshooter James Nunley. And he's one of the ready to hit shots. And yep, TwinCities.com. That's of course the Pioneer Press. Could be a nice addition. Shot extremely well over in Europe last year. So we'll see what happens. James Nunley has been in training camps and summer leagues. He's got a nice shot, and hopefully he'll make the roster and all that. But Timberwolves acquired him a few days before that. It was around August 11th I was starting to get all active on there for a little while because all the stuff going on. But, yep, potentially nice addition if Thibodeau plays him or the new coach plays him. August 23rd, 4 years ago today, the Timberwolves acquired Andrew Wiggins. And Luke Rasmussen says, and, of course, Luke is locally here, that one-time LOL. I tell you, Joey, Minnesota sports are cursed. And, yes, it's been a lot of stuff. A lot of stuff that has happened. Scott Doherty. Yep, Scott Doherty posting that awesome dunk. Yeah, when he would just fly over people. Yeah, there's some good ones. Yep, one against the Warriors there and another against the Jazz. That was Robert, too. That was an amazing play. We need to see more of that from Andrew because when he slashes to the basket, he's the silent assassin. When he's forcing up mid-range fadeaways, he sucks. That's the word I could come up with him. He sucks. But silent assassin, okay. Let's get some silent assassin going, Andrew. Stop with the worthless fadeaways. That'd be great. Luke Rasmussen says also, and how was our replacement in the playoffs? How has our placement in the playoffs improved since this acquisition? Well, we made it once, and that was just last year. Yeah. So let's keep moving. Scott Doherty. Yep, this is about him. It's got to be about Butler. Yep. Tom Thibodeau doesn't buy the rumors that Jimmy Butler wants to leave. Now, the rumor was true. Scott Doherty says, there's the door. Yep, cool there. Scott Doherty also adds, good eye, Thibs and Butler. Now it doesn't matter anyway. Thibs, you have destroyed us. You both need to leave. And yeah, you couldn't have said it better. It's 100% true. And they're both going to leave. So it couldn't be more true now. Now it's even more true all these weeks later. Though this is August 27th. This wasn't that long ago as we're moving forward. Wolves coach Tom Thibodeau reassures nervous fans. He's saying, oh, there's nothing to it, blah, blah, blah. Basically, there's nothing to it. It's okay. And, oh, Jimmy's got that nice smile there. We all know what good smiles do to this franchise, too. You know, Johnny Flynn and his nice smile and well-spoken, it did us so much good that I can't even tell you how warm and fuzzy it makes you feel. Nicholas Simon out of Australia, great poster and great guy, says Thibs needs to address this shitty defense directly. You're Tom bleepin' Thibodeau. This is what you do. Defense, how is this possible? Well, it seems like he's not as good as people thought. if his message isn't getting through, he's not a good coach. Can I say that? Now, certain people can't listen, okay? And believe me, I'm a trainer at work, and certain people just can't listen. But if you get to them enough, and you get to them, you get serious enough with them without getting crazy and yelling and screaming at them, saying, I'm going to respectfully ask you to listen. Please listen. They just might. Where Tom Thibodeau, clearly things are going through when veteran players with a decent amount of pedigree, like Taj Gibson, who's supposed to be a calming, stabling influence, is saying sometimes you've got to block him out. So what does that say? That's your answer right there. That's all. That's all you got to read is that right there. That sums it all up in just a couple words. Nicholas Simon out of Australia says, yes, much better than lime green. Oh, yeah. This is why. The Timberwolves are bringing back their classic 90s pine tree uniforms, 1990s. Now, of course, this is the late 90s because the early 90s, there was the classic original uniforms that just said Wolves, and it was like a classic kind of a North Stars green, like a regular green, with that darker than sky blue, just regular royal blue with like a Timberwolves or with a North Stars kind of green. And then, of course, the Wolves are going to bring back the classic ones in the Garnett and Marbury / Terrell Brandon, Wally Zerbiak era. And Al Jefferson's final first season with the Wolves, pardon me. It was basically the Garnett era that we wore those. So that's cool. They're bringing them back for a few games, and that's nice. Nicholas Simon says, yes, much better than lime green, LOL. Sebastian Barton hates them. That's interesting. Sebastian hates everything. Sebastian says they're bleeping hideous. It's like watching the Wild in the red jerseys. And yeah, I never liked the red jerseys. Never. Honest to God, Sebastian says, what would be cool is they had like a pine tree etched into the sides of the jerseys going up, but this many trees, gross. It just reminds me of 20 plus years of losing. Well, they were kind of good then. That was actually their best era, though, Sebastian. So in case he's listening, I hope so. That was a fun time. It was fun. And, well, after a while it got old because the team got extremely stagnant. By about 02 or so, 01, 02, the team got bleeping stagnant. About 97. Oh, my God, I was so excited. Oh, I get tears in my eyes thinking about it. And talking about those jerseys and a certain player that played then. Oh, that's the next post. Oh, I love you, Tom Gugliotta. With sincerity, I love you, Tom Gugliotta. Oh, I miss him so much. And it's sad, very sad story. The excitement coming in, though. Rookie Starfon Marbury. Remember that year, 96, 97? That's when these debuted, by the way, the summer of 96. Oh, my God. I almost get tears in my eyes. Oh, I was so excited. Marbury, Garnett, Gugliotta. And a couple of Band-Aids like Dean Garrett and, what was that guy's name? Come on. It obviously wasn't Nesterovich. It was the guy before him for 1 year. Stojko Vrankovic. Yep. That was the Band-Aid. Dean Garrett and Stojko Vrankovic were the centers. Yuck. Shooting guards. Doug West was still here, and he was dropping off. And again, he would be an interesting guest to have on here to hear his story. That's a guy who's got an interesting story to tell, if he's willing to tell it. Because he was so good back about circa 91, 92-ish, and then the gradual decline, and then the reasoning for it apparently was he was an alcoholic, and he was going through depression because the team was that bad. And then we finally got better, and you trade him to the team that was that team again, the Vancouver Grizzlies at the time. Oh, he was literally kicking the guy when he was down. Man, there I go way back into memory lane again. Oh, man. So let's talk about another very sad story, but wonderful at the time. Oh, there he is. Number 24, the barbed wire tattoo. I'm not a tattoo guy, as you probably know, but that one brings back wonderful memories because Tom Gugliotta was so good, and he was just such a positive, and I love that New York accent. I love New Yorkers. I kind of have a New York personality, even though I'm from Minnesota. It was an amazing interview with Tom Gugliotta and Dan Barrero. I believe it was the State Fair, if I remember. August 31st, it had to have been. August 30th, because it was yesterday at the time. Highly recommended you download and listen to that podcast. I will definitely discuss what was said in the next episode of TE in your all thoughts on Tommy Gunn are welcome here. And, Tommy Gunn, he talked on and on about, not on and on in a bad way. He never wanted to leave. He never did. And things were just kind of going back and forth. It was because there was such a short window of free agency that year because of the lockout. And of course, Marbury was a D-bag, and he was alienating Tom Gugliotta. Ultimately alienated himself just a couple months later. Gugliotta wanted to come back, but Gugliotta's indecision at the time, which he only had a couple hours to make a decision here and there at the time, it was a tough situation. There was already a secret deal in place. And it was kind of like, I'm really sorry, Tom, but we can't do anything now. And that's why he went to the Phoenix Suns. That is the secret reason why he was flying back to the Twin Cities that night. He was coming back to the Timberwolves. He was going to come to the Timberwolves. He was negotiating with Phoenix for whatever reason, maybe just business purposes, like Flip Saunders did with the Portland Trail Blazers. He had no plans of leaving, but you got to at least have some counter offer from another team to make things interesting for negotiation tactics. Flip Saunders did it, and he got a bigger contract at the end of the day. It was a very, very large, lucrative contract Flip Saunders got, which ultimately made him a very wealthy man and his family wealthy by going to the Trailblazers, at least negotiating, and then Glenn gave him a nice, juicy raise. Tom Gugliotta was doing something with the Phoenix Suns at the time. The Phoenix Suns were interested in him, very interested in him. And then he's like, ultimately, I'd like to go back to Minnesota. Glenn Taylor or Kevin McHale, probably not Taylor, because Taylor wasn't feeling well at the time. He just had some type of heart surgery, if I remember correctly. I think it was bypass, actually. Whew. So, yeah, that's serious stuff, bypass surgery. And unfortunately, there was a secret deal in place with Joe Smith that a lot of us old Wolves fans know very well. And some of us old enough to remember NBA history. The wink, wink to ink, ink, as Steve Ashburner once said. That was in place, and, well, the gig was up, and there was nothing we could do. We could not bring Tom Gugliotta back because that would have blown everything up. At the end of the day, everything got blown up anyway a couple of years later, as we remember very well. The Timberwolves had 5 draft picks taken away. Joe Smith had his Larry Bird rights taken away. Ultimately, 2 of those draft picks are returned, and they ended up being Indy Eby and Rashad McCants. Yeah, that about sums up that. Indy Eby and Rashad McCants. That's, wow. Woo! You outdid yourself, Mikhail. Outdid yourself like always. Just like Paul Grant, who hit the side of the backboard once, and I think he played one more game. Maybe just one, and that was it. That was a first-round pick, 20th overall. He hit the side of the backboard. He had a stress fracture in his foot the first year, hit the side of the backboard in one game the second year, and he was waived. So, wow, that's just like, I guess we didn't need him. We don't need any. We don't need any more rookies. Our roster's full. Whatever. I was hoping for more, but thank you, Nicholas Simon. Though, thank you for jumping in. I appreciate it. He says very underrated player. I always wanted a Gugliotta jersey because it would weird people out, but he also was way better than people realize. And God, yes, he was. He wasn't the best defender. His passing skills were outstanding. They were outstanding. He was a decent defender. His rebounding was adequate. His scoring was phenomenal. He could hit mid-range shots. He was powerful. He was so intelligent. His basketball IQ was way up there, way up there with Sam Mitchell's. He had a basketball IQ at Sam Mitchell's level. It was heartbreaking to hear. I mean, Gugliotta wanted to play for the Timberwolves, and he still says that to this day. He's not like Stephon Marbury, where he'll just deny everything and duck this and duck that. Gugliotta answered everything. I just love the guy. I'll probably listen to it again and talk about it some more in the future, I think. But that was a trip down memory lane that I enjoyed very much, and also very sad, because Tom Gugliotta, just a year after that, he had a successful season with Phoenix. This first year, the fans here gave him a very, very, very hard time for leaving because we didn't know that he wanted to come back. We didn't know. We thought he said, screw you, Minnesota, I'm going to Phoenix because I hate Marbury. But then at the end of the day, just a couple of months later, Marbury was the bad guy, not Gugliotta. It was just so sad, though, how it all turned out. Then a year later, I forget the guy's name. Was it Darvin Ham or somebody like that? Somebody else. Somebody like that, though. Shaved head, point guard. Nothing that has to do with anything, but kind of a bowling ball of a guy. Was going up for a layup, got kind of tripped up, and his head went right into Gugliotta's knee, and he tore everything, basically. ACL, MCL, meniscus. It was just, Tom. He came back, was never the same, played very small minutes here and there, wrapped up his last couple of years with the Atlanta Hawks and basketball, Boston Celtics, had some decent minutes in his very, very final season, and then nobody signed him, and that was it for Tommy Gunn, unfortunately, years later there. Very, very sad story, though. Tommy Gunn. Yep, Tommy Gunn right between the eyes. I say that because that's how Mr. Kevin Harlan used to call out his name. Tommy Gunn right between the eyes. Well, the Timberwolves signed Luol Deng. Hey, Luol Deng has been signed. The Timberwolves are continuing. $2.4 million. Not very expensive, but Luol Deng is here. So when in doubt, sign another Chicago Bull who played for Tom Thibodeau. Nicholas Simon says, come on, Thibs. This is getting ludicrous now. He said during this year off, he changed and grew as a coach, yet he's still getting his old buddies so he can destroy their bodies even more and doing the exact same shit. With the only difference being he can no longer coach a good defense, which was his only talent. Yep, it looks like there's more. Throw the whole Thibs away. Yep, I agree, and I think that's exactly what's going to happen. I can't disagree with anything said there, Nicholas. I cannot. So here we go. Justin Patton. Justin Patton is as big a myth as Bigfoot is what I posted there, because he is. It's a myth. I don't think we'll ever see the guy play. Broke his right foot, now he broke his left foot. That's great. Scott Doherty says, Greg Oden 2.0. Thibs should have never pulled that trade. The Bulls won big. I bet we don't even see this guy in a Wolves uniform. And if we do, it'll be the Iowa Wolves. Unbelievable bad luck. And I agree, Scott Doherty, who is locally here in the Twin Cities. Great thoughts always from Scott Doherty. Extremely frustrating. Extremely. You just sit here like, really? So another situation. He broke his foot during workouts. Jimmy Butler requests trade from Timberwolves. Bye-bye, Butthead. And this generated a lot of conversation, but this will be the end of the show here. Vince Germano says, wanker of a bloke. Fred Mithen, locally, says, F. Thibodeau, we gave away our future for nothing. Thibs better run out of this town before he's tarred and feathered. Brent Jacobson, locally, says, I wonder which teams are on his list. Apparently, it was Clippers, Nets, and Knicks. And that was, of course, also added by Vince Germano there. Brent Jacobson says, do the Nets still owe their draft pick to the Celtics? Vince says, I'm not sure, but I think this next draft is the last first rounder they give. Brent Jacobson says, from each of the three teams mentioned, here's who I'd want. Marcin Gortat. Yep, see, there you go. Thank you. Marcin Gortat. Yep, I agree with you. And a filler. Well, maybe Lou Williams would be really nice if the Clippers are willing to do that. That'd be a sweet trade, I think. Still, Butler's the better player, duh, but those are good players. They're not young. They're both over 30, but they'd be helpful. I don't think they'd be cancers in the locker room. New York Knicks, ideally Kristaps Porzingis, which won't happen. Yep, he says I highly doubt it. Otherwise, Enes Kanter in a filler, which is doable because it's $18 million. And again, that could help out Karl Anthony Towns be freed up and be a power forward, which I think is an extremely good idea, actually. I think that'd be genius. Taj Gibson could then go to the bench because I'd rather have Karl Anthony Towns at power forward. I think if when we saw what the result can be with Karl at power forward, you've got a much better team there. I think. I mean, the guy's career potential is going to shatter that glass ceiling. It's not going to break the glass ceiling. It's going to shatter it. He's going to be way better than we thought if that happens. Nets, D'Angelo Russell, which would be awesome, but again, yeah, he's thinking unlikely. Chris LeVert and a pick. And I think that's what we get from the Nets would be, first and foremost, there'd be a draft pick. And then somebody, I don't know, Alan Crabb. He's not bad, but for $18 million, he's kind of pricey. It'd be something like that, though. Maybe a draft pick in Alan Crabb or that Chris LeVert there you got. Otherwise, Knox from New York. But Kanter would be nice to help move Karl to the power forward. Vince Germano says, Joey, told you, didn't I? Plonker walked in like he owned the joint and had won titles. You know the rest. Yep. Yeah, you know the rest. And I agree completely. And we did talk about it on the last episode of TE. And neither of us disagreed with each other, did we, Vince? So it's a fact. Luke Rasmussen locally says, let him go. What a wank. I love it. Luke going Australian there. This is going to be an interesting season. And yeah, lots of stuff's going to happen. We're going to get a new coach and president. It's going to happen. And if it doesn't, well, okay, Glenn Taylor. Goodbye ratings, goodbye tickets. I mean, obviously people will still see Andrew Wiggins and Karl Anthony Towns, but How can it's tougher and tougher to support a franchise financially when you have a coach and president of basketball operations that shouldn't be a coach in basketball operations, a president of basketball. That's the last thing. I believe he's from the Philippines. Says we gave up our future prospects for this D-bag. I agree. Levi Brown out of New Zealand. The older brother of Tene says, I remember thinking how great I thought Levine and Dunn and Butler trade was last year. As I was a big Butler fan, my, how things have changed. Fred Mithens wraps up this section saying, I never wanted Butler because I thought that Wiggins could develop into a Butler-esque player if he committed to it. We gave up our future for a rental, which is exactly what I said would happen. SMH. If there was a way to get him over to the Lakers for Kuzma, Svi, or maybe KCP, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, yep, I'd be happy. I wouldn't mind that at all. Kuzma would be really cool. It's going to be players like that. You'll be fortunate to get a nice young prospect, otherwise a veteran who's decent but not as good. And that's kind of how things are most likely heading with this type of a trade. There is a reply, and that is from Vatsala saying, whoops, he's saying, and now it's getting blocked here. There we go. Exactly. It was pretty predictable that he'd be out after a year or so. I feared the same. That or he'd be injured all the time, overpriced, and very quickly his prime would disappear. That was my fear as well. You either sign him for too much and it'd be for too long and he wouldn't be as good, and you'd have to pray to God that Wiggins would take off. I knew it would stunt Wiggins. I knew it, and it stunted Towns too. And ultimately it has definitely been a huge disaster for this franchise. So big boo-boo for Thibodeau and Layden, to a point of I think they will not be welcomed back as soon as this season. They may not be the coach this season, and I kind of hope coach and GM this season, and I kind of hope not. In fact, I really hope not. So that should wrap up this section and all that. Want to thank you guys for your inclusion. Awesome inclusion. Vince, Germano, Vitalia, Fred, thank you guys. Scott Doherty, awesome throughout it. Of course, Tene Brown's awesome as well. Thank you guys so much for jumping on board and having a conversation with me. Hank McCoy, I hope I don't hate you. I hope you don't hate me so much. It's actually Wayne Hunt now, but again, I hope you don't hate my guts too much because he's vanished off the face of the earth. I think he hates me because of my on and on ranting about the Warriors. I'm going to try my best to just ignore it from now on. Just ignore it, not get mad about it anymore. Just if they win, they win, and whatever, and get on with my life. Support my team and not think about that team or other teams I don't like, because the Warriors aren't the only team I don't like. So I'm going to try my best to do that. Thank you guys so much for listening. Please tell your friends about the show. Multiple ways to get on. 209-736-7877. 209-736-7877. It is a voicemail. Do treat it as such. Mention you're calling in for Timberwolves Explosion into your statement, shout-out, comment, question, and opine. That voicemail is limited to 3 minutes, so just keep that in mind. You can always call back again if you have more to say. Otherwise, there's one other plan. There's one other way to go through it. That is the which I highly recommend these days, the audio submission route, where you use the free voice recording application on your smart device, smartphone, whatever. Treat it like a phone call. Record it as long as you want. I mean, it doesn't have to. I'm guessing it won't be a half hour, 5 minutes, 6 minutes, something like that. 4 minutes, 3 minutes, 2 minutes, whatever it is. Save it and email it to paladinolive@yahoo.com. Paladinolive@yahoo.com, which I will then save and convert into a MP3 file and slide it on in here with fan interaction. You will lead off fan interaction, well, just like Marcus the Forecaster did. And if Marcus the Forecaster is listening again, keep him coming the way you did there. He could just, so he can literally call my number, and I can actually change that into a voicemail that I can bring onto the show too, which is really kind of cool. What the hell? What the hell? Andrew Wiggins is beefing with Steven Jackson? What the hell is that all about? I don't know. Well, Steven Jackson isn't exactly in the NBA anymore, so I don't know. I'm not too worried about that at this moment. So we're going to leave that alone. Thanks again for listening. Tell your friends about the show. Write a review, positive review on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Podcast if they have that on there. I'm guessing they might by now. I don't know. But if you could write a review, it would be greatly appreciated. Thanks again to all of you out there for listening. And can't tell you how much I appreciate you. Can't thank you enough. So thank you again. And we will talk to you pretty soon as we head into training camp and more news to break, most likely. The actual trade and probably firing at some point. Is it now or in a couple months? We'll see.